Hi, this is Tranisha Cottrell, and today I wanted to talk about I can't go back. So, what made me want to talk about that is I've been seeing a lot of posts about resetting for the new year, and when I think about a reset, I think about starting over. But I'd like to think that because God uses our past to tell our testimony and to propel us into our future, that not only should we just think of it as a reset, but we should think of it as being intentional. Think of it as on what it is that we want to do this year. And last year, I think I got into like February, the second week or something, and then I fell off of one of the things that was like I wouldn't say it was a resolution because I think that during the entire year you set goals for yourself. You set little goals for yourself to try to achieve towards like your big goal or towards your purpose or whatever it is that God places on your heart to do. So I don't think it's just one thing, and I also don't think that a date makes you be able to be everything that God intended for you to be. Like I think that whenever you're doing things in life, just because you fail doesn't mean that you've failed. It doesn't mean that you can't start again. It doesn't mean that you can't continuously reset. It doesn't mean that you can't have intentionality about your life and stick to a plan. Just because, like, let's say you said you're going to eat healthy this year, and then the second week of January you eat something that's not good for you, that's unrealistic. But also know that that doesn't mean that you failed. That just means that you're human. You're going to make mistakes. You're not going to be perfect. It's really great that you have a goal that you want to aspire to. It's great that you have these things that you're setting your sights on, things that you intend to have in your future. But also know that you can't control life. It's always good to set a goal, to learn new skills, to be more productive in life, to have intentionality throughout your life. But also give yourself a little grace and knowing that you're not going to be perfect, that things are not always going to go the way that you planned. And just because you fail, just because you don't do something exactly the way that you envisioned it at the end of this year, when you are starting to set your resolution or when you're starting to do a reset or you're starting to be intentional with your life or set goals, know that you're human. Know that it's okay, that you can start again. That just because you had one failure doesn't mean that you are a failure. That means that that's a lesson that you get to learn so that you can take it into the next level with you. That means that that could be part of your testimony that God is going to use for His glory. That means that that's something else that will build strength in you that you didn't have before. And you can't build strength on just being strong. You have to build strength on weakness. The parts of you that are broken off, the things that you feel like you lost at the time are really things that help strengthen you inside and out. When I was going through a lot of the things that I went through in my life, I felt like there's no way it could get better than this. There's no way God could ever use this or He would ever want to use me because I've made so many mistakes. But little did I know, God can use any person. No matter what it is that you've done in the past, no matter what it is that you're planning on doing in the future. And I don't say planning because in you repenting is just you intentionally doing something hurtful. What I mean is like maybe you think, oh, I'm going to go to this party, I'm going to go to this thing, even though you know that you shouldn't be there. And maybe even though know you shouldn't have been there, you're thinking, oh, well, since I have planned this party now, I can't go this way and God can't use me. Yes, He can. And you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be by the book doing everything perfect. God will use you where you are. He will meet you exactly where you are to bring you the rest of the way. All you have to do is call on Him. All you have to do is need Him and just be willing. And God will use whatever it is that you have on you, whatever it is from your past, whatever mistakes that you've made, anything that you've done, God will use that for His glory. And so you're probably thinking, what makes you think that you can't, or do the title that says you can't go back? So, what makes me want to say I can't go back is earlier today I was listening to a sermon that said something about, I don't know what the title of it was. It was something like making it through heartbreak or something like I'm not done yet, or something was the name of it. And it talked about how people from like when you are in your life, when you're going through life on your journey, and you see someone from the past, or you see a previous thing that would have rocked you to your core, something that would have made you feel some type of way, and you end up saying, you know what, I like the pastor was saying, they think that that means that all of a sudden that person's not going to be able to get to you anymore because you're Christian. Like, you might still be annoyed, but you choosing not to make the worst decision is you changing. Sometimes we want it to just be so black and white, like, oh, we're just going to be this perfect Christian, this perfect individual, but no human being will ever be perfect. The only thing that is perfect is God. And sometimes I feel like we forget that. We forget that no matter how far you have come, you maturing, you becoming more patient and your patience breeding maturity does not mean that things no longer affect you. It doesn't mean that you no longer have emotions. It doesn't mean that you don't have things in your life that you really want to do, or things in your life that rub you the wrong way, or people in your life that are rude or mean or cruel. Like, you heard my story yesterday. It probably won't be on yesterday's video. It probably will be like 3 days from now or something. But there was a story on one of my previous videos that hasn't come out yet. And I was talking about how there was this person that was in my life who seemed like a decent person, and they could have just been having a bad day, and maybe they felt bad about themselves, and hurt people hurt people. I don't know, but I don't need that around me, unless, especially not like in that way. So I'm compassionate and I care about other people's well-being, but not at the expense of myself. If somebody feels like they need to put down my hair, my body, my mind, if they feel like they need to say that I need to only experience bad things in my life, or whatever else it is that they feel like they need to wish badly upon me, then they don't need to be a part of my life. And it's not that I'm just saying my cutoff game is so strong. I'm just saying that I need to have boundaries in my life to protect myself. I I care so much about other people that I would not want to allow someone to be a part of my life to see the worst in me, because me allowing that type of behavior in my life is only going to bring out the worst in me. It's not going to allow me to be at my best. And I feel like every person that I care about deserves the best of me. They don't deserve this broken down version. They don't deserve the person full of angry or envious or resentful or whatever else. They deserve somebody who's caring and compassionate and joyful. And the only way I could do that is if people like that cannot be in proximity to me. Like, the only people that can be in my orbit are people who really do respect me, who honor me, who care about my well being. Anybody else, if they're like, I see them in a passing or something like that, that's fine. But no one needs to be that close to me who has that type of energy around them. And so, took a couple notes earlier. That's why I had this book just sitting there. But when I was saying I can't go back, it reminded me of the scripture. I do not remember where it is. I really, you know what? Let's just get this right for this year. In Proverbs 26:11, it says, "A dog goes back to his vomit, so a fool returneth to his folly." So that's what made me think of I can't go back. When I heard of people, the sermon and the pastor was saying in the past how, he would have reacted, or things that he would have done, and how, there's a little bit of that still on him, but he chose to move forward in the future. And as we set these New Year's resolutions, I want us to remember that we can't go back. You can't go back and change the past. You can't make someone be something that they're not. You can't change and right all the wrongs that you've done. All you can do, like, of course you can repent. Of course you can ask forgiveness from God. Of course you can decide to do better every day. But you can't time travel back, at least not at this point, to go back and change something from what it already is. You can't go back and make that person, place, or thing become something that it's not. I'm not saying that God doesn't work in mysterious ways, and maybe, you met someone in high school and then eventually you guys get into a relationship when you're in real life. I'm not talking about something like that. I'm not talking about an exception. I'm not talking about any of those circumstances. I'm talking about majority. I'm talking about when it comes to things in your life that mean good. When it comes to things in your life that may have, or people in your life that have had opportunities, and they decided to throw away every opportunity that they've been given. You can't go back. You just can't. You only get to decide how someone gets to treat you once. Sometimes if you don't stand up for yourself, if you don't allow people to see how you should be treated from the beginning, some people will never get it. They will decide in their mind that this is how they can treat you. And once I get to a place where I don't speak up for myself and I meet a friend, a person, potential person, whatever else it is, person at a job, as soon as they get the first opportunity to disrespect me or they do something that is below my like standards or they do something that's disrespectful or they do something that I don't want to say let slide, but I had other stuff going on. And so maybe I just didn't notice right away. And so they took that as a you don't deserve anything better kind of thing. Once the first time goes by, usually that means that the person is never ever going to respect or treat you the right way after that. So if I miss an opportunity or if I don't notice something and someone just treats me a certain type of way, usually I can't go back because there's no way I will ever be able to convince someone who doesn't see my value to value me. There's no way I will ever be able to convince someone who doesn't respect me to respect me. There's no way I will ever be able to prove to someone that I am enough without them already knowing that. I have to believe it for myself. I can't convince someone who doesn't already honor or respect me to honor and respect me. I could honor and respect myself and remove them from my life. But once people treat you a certain type of way and either you don't stand up for yourself or you don't speak on it, most people just walk right over you or they take that as an advantage. I have a person in my life who I work with and not like in job wise, but in my business. And I know you're probably thinking, why do you work with this person in your business? It's not the first love yourself business, it's another thing. But, anyways, it's just one of those things that I can't get out of. And so, when I first met this person, it was before I started my self care journey. It was before I was on this road to like really trying to heal and be a better person. And before I knew that God had already forgiven me and I didn't need to punish myself. Before I knew that I deserved anything better because I thought that was just life. And no matter how much I stand up for myself, no matter how little I say, no matter how serious I am, and I don't go back and forth with anyone because only a fool argues with a fool. I'm not about to do that. But and also it taught me a valuable lesson that if you don't check someone right away the very first time, and this is something that had happened like throughout a year. So it's not like it was just they got away with one thing and then all of a sudden they just decided that they were going to just be rude. No, I mean, and this is part of their personality as well. But it was like throughout the entire year, this is how they behaved. And I just felt like, okay, whatever. Like it's really no point in saying anything. And then once I started to respect myself and honor myself, and I started to stand up for myself, the person was really mean. And they, for the most part, are quiet. Every once in a while, they have to like try it again to see how many opportunities they'll get to say something like that. I don't know, but they will do things like that. And whenever I meet a new person who's a friend or whatever else, if I don't catch something right away, usually that's why I'm just like, okay, it's over. I know that's like such a snap judgment, and really like I should give some people compassion or like really just be like, okay, well, I mean, in a way, I did once. I had I was out, brand new up in the field and up in this world, like finally starting to make new friends and maybe meet potential people. And this person did something that I wasn't okay with. And I didn't say anything the first time because I was like, okay, well, I haven't been out here in a long time. I don't know if this is good or bad. Like, I know, like, my personal preference, this isn't what I would suggest. This isn't what I would be okay with because for me, like, I'm not okay with someone just, playing that type of game. And it's not to say that this person was playing a game. I think this person was just being a person. And it was up to me to stand up and say something, but I didn't because I didn't know. And so, and you're probably thinking, you should know because you went through all the stuff you went through. I know. I beat myself up really, really hard about it for months. Like, I could not let it go and just be like, ah, just release it. Don't worry about it anymore. And so, the next time I talked to this person, I did set a standard and I said, this is what I need. I said it in a direct tone. I was serious about it. And they rebutted in saying I might do something. And right then, I probably should have said, well, I don't do mites. Or, probably something else that was real clever or whatever else. I did not say that in the moment. So that's in the past. And so, so they decided to proceed to act as if it wasn't important enough. And so since I let them get away with one thing, which I just wasn't sure about. I wasn't sure if that was really a test or not. For real. And I had so much other stuff going on. I just it didn't matter to me at the moment. Like it did not matter to me being respectful of myself or respecting myself. I had like my purpose going on. I was in my purpose. I was doing all the things that God was telling me to do. And so when they were like doing their test, I was just like, so focused on all the things that I'm doing in my life, I didn't even care about that. And then once I had a moment to think about it, I'm like, oh, that was a test and I failed. you know, and it was just too late. But some people, once you show them once how they can treat you, they will never ever change. They will always feel like you'll just be a random person. They will always feel like they will never be able to honor or respect you. They will always treat you like second class or like they're the star. They will always treat you like an afterthought. They will always treat you like your opinion doesn't matter because you let one thing slide. And try not to beat yourself up about it because you're human and you're not going to catch everything. It would be so great if us as women and men could just catch every single little test that people try to throw our way, the things that people do to try to see where we are mentally, physically, emotionally, where we can be in their life. It would be so great if we could just be perfect and just always catch all of these little tests, but I just didn't. I didn't. I failed. And even though I could look at it and just be like, oh, I'll never be able to, now I know what to look out for in this type of way. But the weird thing about life is you really have to be in the field to figure out when people are trying you and when they're not. And not everybody's trying you. Sometimes they are just confused within themselves. Sometimes they just don't have any sense of direction. And since they're all over the place, they just feel like this is how it is. Or maybe there's been several other men or women who have just settled for it because, or lowered their standards for it because they feel like this is a decent person. I don't know, but there's no such thing as a decent person who doesn't honor or respect me. It just isn't. I don't care how good of a person you are. If you can't respect me as a person and honor me or care about my well-being, then you don't need to be a part of my life. And so when I was thinking of the Proverbs 26:11 thing about the dog returning to his own vomit, so a fool returneth to his folly, it made me think of, and this is like my interpretation that I put on like my little spin. I said, I can't go back because like a dog returning to his vomit, a fool goes back to something God brought them out of. I did not. I know I'm talking all of this mess right now in this video, and I hope God please protect me from these people and protect them from me if I'm not all the way healed because I don't want to unintentionally hurt anybody. And I can't go back. I can't go back to any person who doesn't respect or honor me. I can't go back to any person who feels like my time is not precious. I can't go back to any person who feels like I'm an afterthought or like a breadcrumb is enough to feed a full course person. Like I need the appetizer, the meal, and the dessert. I don't need just a little breadcrumb. Like who can survive off of that? Who can be fulfilled off of that? I can't. I don't know any human being that could be fulfilled off a breadcrumb. So why would that be enough? And it may seem like I'm asking too much. But for the person that's for me, it's going to be just right. They're going to be willing to do that. I'm going to be willing to do things that I feel like I'm uncomfortable doing because I will care about that person's well being. Not that I would just jump through hoops for this person. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm just saying to treat an individual with common decency and to really like not just, I don't want to say play games because people have to determine what type of person you are. So, in order for them to do that, sometimes there will be a test. But I'm hoping and praying that every test in the future I pass because I can't go out like that. And I know I'm saying all of this, and you're probably thinking, well, you're on a video, you're talking so much game, and it sounds like you're so confident, you're so ready for this. I'm not ready for anything. Let me just be completely and 100% clear and transparent. I am a woman just like every other woman in this world. I am trying to do better. I'm learning as I go along. I don't have all the answers. I want to be the best that I can every single day. That's the only thing I could do in my life. There will be people that test me that will get away with it. There will be people that test me that I won't always know is a test. There will be things that happen in my life, and maybe I want to turn back the hands of time and just do it all over again a different way. But you only get one chance. I only get one opportunity. That's it. That's what God has given me is a chance to just do the best that I can. That's all he's asking for. So if God is pleased with what I'm doing, I can't worry about what anybody else thinks about me. Either they're it or they're not. Either they care about my well-being or they don't. Like, I can't control how someone else feels about me or what they think about me or their skewed perception of who they believe for me to be, because even if they have an idea of what I am, 12 other people are going to have a different idea of who I am. It's not like each person is going to think the same thing about me, you know? So it is what it is. And I put down this because of the sermon, but I said it is so much more than a sorry or a gift. It is about action. Sorry is what your mouth says. Maturity and intentionality are what your actions say. Because it's so easy to just buy someone off, to be like, oh, here's a gift. Like, just be quiet, sit in the corner, be quiet, and don't say anything. Don't give me your opinion. But I truly feel like someone who really cares about an individual wants to hear what they have to say. No one's going to just be like, oh, this person's just this. Usually I try to give people the benefit of the doubt. And I think that's what held me up in the past, because I knew like I wasn't okay with something. And I was like, okay, well, the old me would just be like, cut off. Like, that's it. You don't get no more chances. Like, I'm over it. I don't care, you know? But then the new me was like, you might be done, but hear this person out because you need to be compassionate. It's not about keeping records. It's not about being blunt or trying to show who can win, because I don't care about winning. I care about human beings. And so if I care about this person's well-being, then I need to hear what it is that they have to say and give them an opportunity to speak on whatever it is that happened. And I did. And initially I felt really guilty about it. Like, oh my goodness, now they think I'm weak because they should have never had the opportunity to express themselves. But looking back in hindsight, I really truly feel like I did the best that I could at the time with everything else that was going on in my life. I did the best that I could at the time when I was exchanging stuff with the ex, and I got that last thing and then felt so emotionally drained. Like, who could bounce back from that within a couple days? Like, nobody. And so I really did the best that I could. And that's really all God can ask from me. The other person may never understand. They may think I'm weak. They may think whatever it is they want to think about me. But I know who I am. And regardless if I look crazy or silly or stupid or whatever any other person's interpretation of me wants to be, I am smart and beautiful and a woman of God. And I'm patient. I'm kind. I'm understanding. I'm a person who makes mistakes all the time. But I'm always willing to try to do better. That's who I am. That's who I'm always going to be. And so regardless of anyone else's interpretation of me, anyone else's perspective of who they think I am I will always truly be myself. And you see me on these videos, like most people would just be like, oh, I'm just going to pretend to be this perfect person. I know I'm not perfect. I don't ever claim to be perfect. I'm going to strive to do better, but I'm never going to be perfect. Only God will be perfect. And this upcoming year, I want to give myself the grace that God has given me. Instead of being so hard on myself when I make a mistake or I say the wrong thing or I do the wrong thing or I go the wrong place or whatever it is that I'm going to mess up on. Instead of being like, oh, I should have never done that. I'm going to extend grace to myself that God has already given me. I'm going to be like, you know what, you messed up, but it's okay. Next time we're going to do this, this, and this instead of this. You might have said this the wrong way, but you know what? Try to rectify the situation. Go talk to the person, have a conversation. If you can't have a conversation with someone, and this is for people who are like me, who just really like to be compassionate for other people, sometimes you may never get the opportunity to talk to someone to express what really happened or how you truly feel about something or why you did what you did. You don't need closure. You need God. Because every time you try to dip back from closure, it's going to allow you to be entangled in a soul tie. It's going to pull you closer into something that you should have already been out of. It's going to bring you back into something that God already brought you through. And you don't need to go through that heartbreak, that confusion, all of that disappointment again. You need to just keep moving forward. You can't go back. It might seem easy to go back to the ex or the whatever else it is in your life, the old job that you just feel like, oh, let me just go back because instead of me, pursuing my purpose and doing the things that God's telling me to do, I know I'm going to be comfortable here. God didn't say He wants you comfortable, He wants you obedient. And this year, and I don't care how many times I mess up because I'm not always going to do this because this is just how we do it as humans. We're not always going to just be, doing everything the right way. This year, my intention is going to be uncomfortable all year round. No matter what it is that I'm doing, I'm going to face my fears. I'm going to do things that I never imagined I would ever do in my life. I'm going to go to places and step out of my comfort zone so that I can walk into my destiny. And I already know what my purpose is. Sometimes it can be scary because you don't know what the outcome's going to be or how things are going to turn out. And just like a little quick whatever. I just want to say that when I do these videos, it's never to like bash or make anyone feel badly. I'm just using a part of something as an example. I'm not saying this is the entire story. I'm just saying that sometimes, just as people, we always beat ourselves up and we feel like we have to do this way. We have to catch every test. We have to do everything the right way. And then sometimes it's not even you. Sometimes the person is going through their own struggles. Sometimes people are hurting themselves. Sometimes people are in a place where they just feel like it's too good to be true. And they might not say that. If someone says that, run, because no one's going to admit that. But unless they're trying to use you. But sometimes when people feel like, oh my gosh, I don't deserve this, it's easier to push something away that God's trying to give you than to just hold on to it because it feels uncomfortable. Like when I met certain people who were nice or who were good people, I just felt like, okay, push them away quickly. Like I don't want to be too vulnerable. And who's to say that God wasn't saying, even if this doesn't work out, even if this doesn't turn out the way that you want it to, this is something that I could teach you so that when I do present the person for you, you will have everything that you need to equip you for this relationship or to equip you for marriage in the future. Like, I don't know, but sometimes we get so in our head that we really feel like we have to have all the answers and God's the only one with all the answers. We have to be okay with knowing that regardless of what happens in our life, God's got us. Everything is going to work out the way that God intended it to. And let me just go ahead and say in conclusion, because I want to try to hurry up and finish doing some stuff. I had to go into the office tomorrow, so I have to make sure that I get plenty of rest because I do not want to fall asleep driving. And that's a real thing. I just, if you know me from these videos, if you've been watching them, I like laugh in awkward situations. So that was like an awkward laugh. That wasn't like I'm laughing because I ever want to do that. And so, so definitely need to get my rest. And I haven't had that happen in a while. See, every time. So I'm going to get off of this video unless, of course, something moves in my spirit or whatever else. But in conclusion, when it comes to your life and your future, when it comes to the new year, you could say new year, new me, whatever else. It's not just a new you, it's a better you. Just be better than you were yesterday. Just do better than you did before. Just take every single failure, every loss, and use it as a lesson to propel you into the future that God has for you. Don't beat yourself up if you fail a test in a relationship or when you're getting to know somebody and they try you. Just know that the next time you'll do better. And don't ever feel like, oh, I messed up and so this will never work out and now I'm never going to get to be with this person. Okay. There are, I think when I did the research, it's like 3 million or 3 billion men or something like that are single, or it's 3 billion men and half of those people are single. So it's 1.5 million men in the world. And you're probably thinking, okay, that seems like a lot, but really there's this study that's out that says there's more women than men. Who cares about a study? Like, let's stop using statistics to be God, because God can make the impossible possible. You only need one person to be with. It's not like you have to be with all 1.5 billion people. Like, you only need to be with one. So, so let's go ahead and trash that idea. And also, even if, let's say, it doesn't work out with one person, there's another person. There's a little less than 1.5 billion left. So you're worried about one person, which I know it hurts. I know it sucks. I know it didn't turn out the way that you intended it to, but it turned out exactly the way that God intended it to. And if anything is God, there's nothing that you could do to ever stop it. And it may hurt. You may feel like you're not good enough. You may feel horrible, unwanted, whatever else you feel in the moment, but you are wanted. God wants you. You are needed. The world needs you. There's something in you that you bring to the table that no one else does. There's something special in every single one of us. And if we let one person destroy our purpose or our dreams, we'll never be able to live the life that God had for us. You can't allow someone's opinion of you to make you think that of yourself, because their opinion will always change, just like the weather, just like we change clothes every day for most of us. Just know that you are exactly who God intended you to be, exactly the way that God intended you to be at this moment, at this time, right now. Everything that you are is what God intended you to be. Any mistakes that you made is exactly what God will use for His glory. So don't ever feel like because you messed up, because you made a mistake, because you did something wrong, that God won't be able to use you. He will be able to use whatever it is that you've messed up in the past. Every mistake, everything that you've learned will be used to benefit you in the future. And it might not seem like that at this moment, but know that as long as you have breath in your lungs, blood in your veins, you can smell, taste, speak, hear, whatever thing that you have that you get to benefit from on your body, your mind, your soul, in your life as a blessing. Just know that you have that. And as long as that is in your life, as long as you have the ability to wake up another day, you have another opportunity to do better. You have another opportunity to be better. You have another opportunity to inspire or touch someone's life. You have another opportunity at living your dreams. And it might seem like your dreams are far away. Sometimes you might feel like, oh, it seems like I'm never going to get there. The doubt is the enemy. God did not create you to have doubt. He is a God of abundance. He will give you everything that you need. Anything that your heart desires, which is what He desires, is what He will give you. You don't have to worry about anything. It's so easy for us to get in our head and feel like, all of these things are wrong, or think negatively, or have cynicism. But that's not God. God is knowing. Anytime you get doubtful this year, Look into the Bible for scripture. Every single negative thought you have ever thought about yourself or heard someone say about you, combat it with scripture. Every single one. Keep it on a piece of paper or a post-it note. Keep it in your purse, in your office, in your living room, in your kitchen when you're getting ready to make some tea or whatever else it is that you're doing. Keep it around you. So every time the adversary comes and he tries to tell you who you're not, you remember whose you are. Because no weapon formed against you shall prosper. And I would rather be a fool in the world, a fool with God, than a fool in the world. I would rather be wise in the world and a fool for God than anything else. And I'm laughing so hard because I know somebody's going to say, what? But seriously, it goes, let me just reiterate because people are so confused right now. I would rather be a fool for God and wise in the world any day because God knows more than I do. No matter what's going on in my life, even if I don't know what the end result is, I have to have hope for things unseen. Faith is the hope of things that are unseen. Faith is everything. When you really feel like there's no way, God literally makes a way out of no way. So in my future, God is number one, like always. God is above everything. As long as I'm focused on Him, everything else will be given into me. No matter what mistakes I make, God can use it. No matter who comes in my life, God will be a constant. No matter what battles I have to face, I can call on God no matter how big or small something is. And I'm going to set intentionality because I can't go back.